You had a
Yeah,
couple of
sure thing.
reservations initially, and I was able to, talk you into just jumping on and sharing some wisdom, man. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Okay, so our goal here, Abraham, has always been to help shortcut someone who's using wholesaling as a shortcut to learn the game. Because we know that wholesaling typically for most people has been a nice, easy transit. Well, nothing's easy, but it's a way for you to get into real estate without having a lot of money in the 401k or in the bank. And with the idea, if you can get your, learn from some smart people, be hard workers, you can take advantage of everything else inside this real estate game. So with that being said, our viewers are coming from that point of reference, and we're really happy, man, that you're going to drop some game outside of wholesaling.
Yeah.
So let's have had a couple of questions, man.
All right.
So out of the gate, man, if you could kind of tell our viewers a little bit about your entrepreneur journey.
Yeah. So I'm 46 this year. I started my own businesses when I was 15, so over 30 years ago. And I started in real estate when I was 22. So I've been buying and selling properties for about 24 years. I started with my first house that I just bought to live in, and then I went to start buying. 6 months later, started to buy a bunch of rental properties. And back then, it was pretty easy to get loans, and the cash flowed really well. And I just got addicted to it because I didn't have to do anything. I just kind of sat back and just had this passive income of $300-400 a house. So I just, every time I had enough money for that 20% down payment, I would just buy another property.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the years, I got into, duplexes and multifamily commercial properties. And, right now I have over 100 properties that I buy and hold, but throughout the last 20 years, I also did a lot of fix and flip. So I would pick the ones I wanted to keep long-term. And then the ones that I thought were more profitable to fix and flip, I did that. So just throughout the last 20 years, I've done a lot of fix and flips. I have a bunch of good crews that do the work. When you fix and flip, one of the most important things is a couple important things, obviously getting a really good deal, but then just as important as getting a good deal, you have to have really good people that do the work for you, that do a good job and do it at the right price. So, someone that even gets a worse deal than somebody else, but if they have the good labor that could do it at the right price, they could even do better, paying a little bit more than somebody else sometimes. So both those things together are very important. And I use, my fix and flip money to just keep buying more stuff. As I was telling you earlier, a lot of my properties I do now that I buy and hold, I buy really not using much money. I do a lot of creative finance deals. So every month I'm adding another 2 or 3 creative finance properties to my portfolio. And what I mean by creative finance, I get a lot of deals via owner finance or subject to, meaning that I'm buying it with the seller keeping their mortgage in place and I'm just making the payments for them. And then I just pay out their equity, either right away or sometimes over time.
All right, so Abraham, I'm not gonna just let that pass so quickly, brother. So you've been in the game for less than 20 years, and you have over 100 doors.
Yeah, I have over 100. Yeah,
you've been busy.
Yeah. And real estate for most of my life has been just like a secondary, passive type thing. I really had hundreds of businesses throughout my life, and that's my main thing that I do. But I've gotten really, really heavy into real estate over the last year, more than normal even, because with COVID, a lot of the businesses I had kind of, shut down for a while or paused. A lot of them are starting to open back up. Some of them I sold during COVID because it wasn't worth keeping them. But I usually keep opening up more and more businesses. And with COVID, I just took a break with business stuff. And real estate is super hot right now. So it was a no-brainer just to jump in and do as much real estate as possible. And so I'm like full in real estate right now. I'm like 5 or 10% of my time in real estate. Now it's like 90% of my time.
Okay. So do your other businesses complement your real estate, or are they not even really close to each
So,
other?
they don't complement them. So probably 85% of what I have are like residential. The other 15 to 20% are commercial. So a lot of my commercial properties complement my businesses because I actually am have a lot of commercial properties that I'm my own tenant and I'm not my own landlord. So in that respect, they complement each other in my businesses just by having a tenant landlord relationship. But my residential doesn't really, it's kind of two separate things. It doesn't really, they don't really go together.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm actually in my timeline. I have mastered, this is my second full year as a wholesaler, and I want to continue down this path. Nice little clip. But then my junior year, I really want to buckle down and actually, get a mentor on being more proficient at the creative side of acquiring property. So can you speak to that a little bit, man?
Yeah.
How was your learning curve?
So I just by mistake, like try to do some deals like 15 years ago. And like the person just wanted more money than I thought the property was worth. But I was like, you know what? Do you own the property free and clear? They're like, no, we have a mortgage. I want to pay it off. I was like, well, how about I pay you a little bit more for the property that what you want, not really what I want to pay, but I just take over your mortgage and I just pay you your equity. And they're like, huh, I never thought about that. And then, we went to an attorney that was able to draw it up and I did it. And they got a higher price for their property. And I didn't have to come up with that much money because I just had to pay them their equity, which wasn't a ton at the time. And once I did that one deal, I just started finding more and more of those deals. But the great thing about creative finance deals on as far as subject to deals or owner finance deals is you can actually make just as much money or more money wholesaling these creative finance deals than you could on a regular type property. So anyone that wholesales that doesn't lock up creative finance deals is throwing away half of your money or more. Let me give you an example. So to wholesale a deal, you have to buy it at a certain discount, whether it's 40% off, 30% off, 50%, depending on your market. You have to get it at a huge discount to be able to wholesale it because whoever you're wholesaling it to has to make money on it as well.
Absolutely.
Well, as a wholesaler, you probably get tons and tons of leads that people just want too much money. Sometimes they want too much money because they're just greedy or whatever. They want too much money, but sometimes they want too much money because they just owe too much on the house and they can't sell it for less than what they owe because they can't, come to the table with money. So on every single deal that people owe too much money or want too much money, you could make most of those deals work on a creative finance deal. As long as your payments are less than what your cash flowing, what the rent would be, and you could make a certain spread, you could lock up all those deals and pay full price. Like you could pay for an ARV $200,000 home, you could pay $200,000 for it on a creative finance deal and everyone's happy. And then you could wholesale it to somebody for 10, 15, 20,000 bucks, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on how good the cash flow is, depending on how much equity they have when they buy it. Mm-hmm. But you could wholesale this deal. And these are deals that like every single person throws away in their dead leads and they're just total dead leads. So a lot of my dead leads or a lot of other wholesalers' dead leads, I actually take those leads from them and try to convert them into a creative finance deal. And then if I do, I pay them, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, depending on the deal and what they bring me. So a lot of wholesalers come to me with their dead leads and I close them. And then my own dead leads that I get, I just, instead of paying cash for them, look, I'd much rather get a cash deal because the cash deals I'm buying and I'm flipping right away and I'm making my, 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 or more on them. And it's fast money. It's awesome. On the creative finance deals, I usually keep them long-term. I don't really wholesale any of them. However, I buy a lot of creative finance deals from other wholesalers and I've seen some of them make 20, 30, just recently, $50,000 assignment fee on a creative finance deal I bought from another wholesaler. $50,000 on a deal that no other wholesalers could have ever bought because I paid full value for the house. And there's just no way to wholesale that deal as a cash deal, but as a creative finance deal, it's an incredible deal for me. the wholesaler made 50 grand. I turned it into a rooming home. I have a lot of rooming homes. And
Okay.
I'm able to like cash flow $5,000 on this property that a rent would have been less than $2,000. And I was able to, to get it on a creative finance deal. I basically only had to come up with 50,000 bucks that the assignment was. And the rest of it, I'm just making monthly payments on the house. I didn't, the person that sold it actually didn't get any money up front. But there's lots of deals like that where you can make big money wholesaling creative finance deals that you never could have bought as a cash deal because people just want too much money for it.
That's amazing. And I'm not just gonna gloss over what you said. So what you've been able to do is monetize
Dead leads.
off of dead leads.
Dead leads.
Yeah. And so what's amazing is in so many aspects, when we think about what's a good deal in the world of real estate, you're 100% right. If I can't buy it 50 to 65% of ARV, I pass on it 100% of the time. And yet in my head, I'm wondering, maybe I should kick it over to Abraham.
For sure. And for sure. So I teach a lot of wholesalers how to lock up these creative finance deals and structure them to where they're good deals where you can wholesale them. But if somebody structures it and then just wants to wholesale it to me, I'll pay them whatever I think it's worth. I don't know how much they're making when they assign it to me. I find out sometimes afterwards, but I honestly don't care how much someone's making. As long as the deal is good for me, I hope you make a lot of money. If the deal is good for me, I don't care. But if you structure the deal and then sell it to me as a wholesale deal, I'll pay you whatever you ask for. But if you just give me dead leads and I got to work on myself and structure the deal myself, I usually pay anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 for the lead if I could close it.
Okay, understood. Now I'm imagining that you probably run into, in the world of creative finance, fewer people that own are free and clear and can do seller finance, and more people that may be in maybe a subject to situation.
You would think that, but honestly, you do get a little bit more subject twos than people that own stuff free and clear. But I probably am buying 30-40% right now that people own it free and clear. They just want so much money for it. They want way too much money to where you can't fix and flip it and make any money. But they're like tired landlords. Some of them are getting older. Some of them just don't want to mess with the house. They just want to feel like they got a lot of money for it. And they're willing to, sell for a high price and give me the terms that I need. So there's two really important things in a deal. It doesn't matter if I'm buying and selling businesses, buying and selling real estate. The two important things are the price, of course, the price, and then the terms. And honestly, the terms are way more important than the price. So I will give anybody any price that they want. I don't care what the price you ask for. I'll give it to you 10 times what it's worth if you let me pick the terms. So obviously we negotiate somewhere in between where the terms and price comes together to make the deal happen. But think about it. If somebody said, look, I want to buy your car. If someone tells me, look, they want $1 million for their car. I know the car's only worth $20,000. Can I buy it for $1 million?
Probably not.
If I know it's only worth $20,000, can I buy that car for $1 million? Well, almost everybody would say, no, it's not possible. But I say it's 100% possible. I do it all the time. I pay them $1 million for their car, but I pay them $500 a year for the next 100 years, 1,000 years, whatever it is. I could buy your car for $1 million. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's just a crazy example of how, if you make the terms right, you could buy any deal for any price.
Okay. All right. I hear you on that. So what are some typical newbie mistakes when someone is attempting to structure a creative deal?
Not knowing enough about it and not knowing how to structure it and not knowing, who to sell it to, those are not having the right paperwork. So when I talk to sellers, that, obviously I call people, I have my VAs and I have my acquisition team. When they call people and they're like, look, I want to pay you, $100,000 for this home. And they're like, they want $150,000 and there's just no way to make that work on a cash deal. then we ask them, are they open to terms or, something like that. And they don't understand exactly what that means at first. And then we kind of explain it and they're like, okay, yeah, maybe. And then we negotiate it a certain way, but they have a million questions. So one of the newbie mistakes is not knowing how to answer the questions that people are going to have. There's literally like 20 questions I get all the time. There's like 3 or 4 really, really important ones every person asks. And if you don't know how to answer them, you're just not going to get the deal. So I can go through like tons of important questions that they ask, and you got to answer them.
What are the top 4?
First of all, you got to answer them 100% honestly, and you got to answer them correctly, and you got to make people feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. So what were the top 4 questions that you know that you are going to anticipate when you're structuring the deal?
Well, first question, a lot of people ask, is it legal? Of course, it's 100% legal. And actually, on every HUD statement, on every settlement statement, line 203, there's a whole section for anything you buy, subject to. If you look at a HUD statement or a settlement statement, line 203 is all about subject to. So you can buy anything subject to. You could take stuff over subject to, like the mortgage subject to. You could take over a lien subject to, whether it's a tax lien, whether it's a mechanics lien, whether it's a water, it doesn't matter. Basically, HOA liens, you could take over any single thing subject to, and that's on line 203 on the HUD statement. So obviously it's legal, plus people do it, been doing it for a long time. So that's the first question. The next question is, well, what happens if you don't make my mortgage payment? The mortgage is still in my name. Isn't it going to hurt my credit? Like, I don't want to, I'm scared to let you, take this over subject to, because it could only hurt my credit if you don't pay it. So, there's a lot of good answers for that. My answer, might be a little different than some other people's answer, but, there's a bunch of good answers. But the first answer, the way I answer it is, look, first off, I have over 100 properties, and I have dozens of properties I've taken over subject to. I'm more than happy to give you any of the sellers of the other properties to talk to them. Some of them I've had for many years, and ask them how this deal worked for them. I was able to pay everybody way more than they were able to get on a cash deal. And on top of that, a lot of these subject twos I bought off people, they were about to go in foreclosure, so they were about to lose their house. So I was actually able to save them from going in foreclosure, helping keeping their credit great, or not going worse. And then ever since I bought it from them subject to, I'm making payments monthly for however long I have it. Sometimes it's years. And that I've helped improve a lot of people's credit where it would have been totally shot. Plus, I was able to give everybody, whenever I buy a deal subject to, whether they have equity or not, I always give them something, even if it's only $1,000, just so they have some sort of consideration that's substantial. And if I ever, want them to talk to somebody or whatever, I want them to have a good experience with me. But a lot of times I have to pay $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. And sometimes I get them to sell me their home subject to their mortgage, and they still have a big equity, a lot of equity in their house. And I'm able to take the equity and sometimes turn that into an owner finance. So now I have a subject to with their mortgage and an owner finance on their equity. So sometimes I have 2 loans on some of these creative finance deals I have. But the other thing I tell them is, look, as soon as I buy your home, I'm going to rehab it, because what am I going to do with it? I am going to, probably rent it or a whole bunch of other things. And to do that, I'm going to have to, fix it up. I'm going to have to paint it. I'm going to have to
put some money into it.
I have to put some money in it. So the last thing I'm going to do is pay you this money up front for taking over the subject to, however much money I'm paying you, then put another 5, 10 plus thousand into it, rehabbing it. And then, every single month, I'm building the equity. Why am I going to not pay it and let you take the house back from me? And what I do is I sign basically something like a deed in lieu of foreclosure that stays in escrow, that if I'm ever 60 days late on payment, the closing attorney files this, and then the other person gets the home back. So I'm not gonna do that, because you would just get the home back and I would lose all my money. That doesn't make any sense. On top of the fact that I've done this for so long and I have so many, it just doesn't happen. But if it does happen, that's how you're safe.
Okay, so talk to me this. So from my reference point, I know from most investors, there's 3 sets of numbers that they care about. They care about ARV, they care about rehab costs, and they care what percentage I'm trying to wholesale the deal from.
Correct.
So for you as a creative guy, so you're playing by a different set of rules.
Only
So-
one thing matters. Only one thing really, there's a lot of things that matter, but there's only one thing that really matters. The only thing that really matters is cash flow. So how much money am I going to have to pay every month for the mortgage or seller finance note? And how much money am I going to be collecting in rent? And I need a certain amount of spread on every property, to cover profit, to cover, repairs, to cover, a vacancy, to cover, if I have a property manager. So I need a certain amount of spread. So you have to know all this to make it a good deal.
Right. Okay. So how do you analyze a good deal? So you got to figure out what their TI is.
Correct.
You got to figure out what they actually owe on it. So bring some of those numbers into spotlight for me.
What they owe on it is honestly not super important. What they owe on it is a bonus. Like,
Okay.
you want to buy homes, obviously, that have equity. You want to have equity in the home when you buy it. But on a creative finance deal, that's not super important. Let's say I buy a home and I'm paying full price or over what it's worth, but my monthly payments are $1,000 and I'm cash flowing 2,000. Do I care that I paid 20,000 more for this house? Why would I care? I'm making 1,000 a month forever. So the things that matter is how much money can I rent it for? And by the way, renting is just one out of like 10 different things I do with these. But how much money can I rent it for? And how much money is my monthly payment, right? PITI plus HOA, if there's HOA. And if it's, basically, as long as there's that spread, that's all I really care about. Once I know there's a spread, I'm going to make the deal happen.
Got you. Now, what's your typical exit strategy? Are you looking to buy and hold it, or are you looking to do like a seller finance scenario to an end buyer?
So I have, like I said, a ton of exit strategies. My main go-to exit strategies are wrapping the home to another seller. So typically what I'll do is I'll get into this home. If it's a subject to, it's usually somewhere around 3 to 4%. But if it's an owner finance, I have tons of homes that have zero interest, and I have a lot that are 1%, 2%, 3%. But typically what I'll do is I'll get into these homes. On average, my average rate that I'm into most homes I have are around 3%. And then what I do is I wrap them, and I'll charge, like, let's say I'm buying it for 200,000. I'm going to wrap it for like 240, 250. And I'll make them give me like 10% up front. And plus I'm going to charge them like 7.9% interest is my typical interest. I have different interests for different scenarios, but most of my homes that I wrap, I do at 7.9% interest. So I'm making 50,000 on the front end. I'm getting their down payment, 10 to 15%. And then I'm making 4.9% on that 200,000 every month in cash flow on top of everything else. Plus, there's a few other benefits, but that's what I do when I wrap it. So that's how I make money when I wrap it. Now, when my next thing that I do is I do a lot of lease purchases, which is basically renting the home with giving somebody an option to buy it at a later time for a set price. And I charge them a fee for that. Like, they'll pay me, like, depending on the price of the home, but somewhere around $10,000 for the option to be able to buy that home. And I usually do like 3 years. A 3-year lease option. So I'll rent it to them for $1,500 a month, and they have the option to buy it for me for $200,000 for the next 3 years. And then they have to pay me $10,000 for that option. It doesn't go toward the price of the house. It's just, it gives them the option to be able to buy it for me at $200 anytime they want in the next 3 years. And it makes it to where I cannot sell it to anybody. So like, I'm, handcuffed with that home for the next 3 years. If it goes up to 300,000, I'm screwed, so that's what they're paying for.
Okay. So in Georgia, is that called the rent to own or lease option?
There's 100 names: rent to own, lease option, lease purchase. There's tons of names. But that's another exit strategy. Of course, another exit strategy is just renting it, just a regular rental. And then I have some Airbnbs. So a lot of homes don't make sense to rent because maybe my PITI is too much and I don't have that spread, but I know it's a good home that could Airbnb good. So I keep a certain amount of Airbnbs all the time on the homes that don't make sense to rent or at least purchase or wrap. I have a lot of pad splits, if you know what pad splits are.
No, that's actually, I've never heard that terminology.
Pad split, it's a company just like Airbnb, but it's different. Airbnbs are short-term rentals by the house. Pad splits are short to medium-term rentals, but they're by the room. So like it's all run through pad split, just like run through Airbnb. They find all the people, they do all that, the vetting, but you rent the room. So instead of renting a home on Airbnb for $100 a night, you're renting a room by the week or by the month for $200 a month for the room, and $200 a week, $200 a week for the room. And most homes that I have at least 8 rooms in, so I'm getting like $1,600 a week for these pad splits. So over $6,000 a month.
Wow. Okay. So guys, we're dropping a lot of game right now. I got about 20 people on my live feed and Instagram, another 20 people on Facebook. If you have any, I don't even know what you're like the creative finance king out in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, everybody knows me for that. I get a lot of people bring me stuff. I turn a lot of these creative finance deals into group homes. I currently have like 7 or 8 group homes in Atlanta. That's another, it's sort of like a pad split, but it's more, I run it myself, or I have my own team that runs it. Pad split's more like runs it themselves. I have some homes, like in Atlanta, there's a lot of like split level homes or basements, and a lot of homes that I end up getting creative finance deals on, I turn into duplexes. So like instead of renting the home for $1,500, I'll rent the upstairs for $1,200, the downstairs for $1,000. I'm getting like $2,200 instead of $1,500. And it's really easy to turn a lot of these homes into duplexes. There's rules about it in a lot of these cities, but it's pretty easy usually. So that's another exit strategy I have. Of course, another exit strategy would be just to wholesale them, right? You get a deal that's a creative finance deal, and other people that are looking for buy and hold properties, other investors. When you have to go buy a home and somebody wants a lot of buy and hold, like you have to go and put down 20, 30, 40% sometimes to buy this home, and then you'll run out of money pretty fast that way. So on these creative finance deals, I could have it to where people put down 10%, 20%, and that's a great deal for them because they don't have to go and get financing, which eventually it gets harder, and they ask for a lot more money up front. They have to pull your credit and all these crazy things. On these types of deals, your credit never gets pulled, so it doesn't ding your credit, and you can just buy way more, way faster, and build your build your portfolio quicker and cheaper.
So what I'm learning is if you are really focused on scaling up, learning these creative finance acquisition tips is a must. It's not even an option.
Game changer.
Absolutely. So talk to me about your education in this. Has it all been informal, or did you actually get any mentors that were able to kind of create some inertia for you?
So crazy enough, I've been doing this, I don't know, over 15 years, creative finance. I've been doing real estate for like 23 years, but creative finance, I probably started like 15, 16 years ago. I never really knew anyone doing it. I thought it was just something I did, and a few other people did it. It wasn't really talked about that much back then. But lately, over the last couple of years, I've seen a lot more people like really focus on it. And I actually have bought a couple. First of all, I always buy mentorship programs because even if I know 90% of what they teach, or 95 or 99, that 1% or 5% or that 10% that I don't know, it makes me so much money that I don't even care. So right. I always buy mentorship programs for anything I want to learn about, whether it's business, whether it's taxes, whether it's marketing, whether it's, real estate, whether it's creative financing, whether it's fix and flip, it doesn't matter. I buy people's programs if I think that I can learn anything from it, because whether the program's $1,000, $10,000, or whatever, anything I get, I'm going to make that money back on the first deal.
Beautiful.
So I have bought a bunch of programs. Most of the stuff I've watched and most of the programs that I've got, I've kind of known most of it, but every program I have bought, I have learned something.
Okay. All right. So as I talk to you, I think about the guys that are doing a ton of stuff on social media is Jamil and Pace Morby.
Yep. Yeah. I bought both their programs.
Okay. All right. And in your mind, was there value to be had?
Oh, there's tons of value in any program you buy. Those are great guys. I like their programs. I love their programs a lot. They have a great community. I'm friends with, everybody in Atlanta and in other cities that are in their programs. And we do a lot of deals together. So like, I think their programs were about $8,000 each or something. I don't even know exactly now, but the first deal I bought on something that that I learned from them, I got my money back on the first deal.
There you go.
I bought programs before for $150,000, and I've made I've made millions off those programs. So any program is worth buying if you want to learn about it, but you got to take action. Anyone can buy the program and know everything, but if you don't do it, it's worthless. So I like to do stuff. Like as soon as I know how to do something, I do it. I see like 90% of the people that buy these programs don't do anything. And it's, they have the knowledge, I guess, but you have to be an action taker. You have to do it.
Hey man, Matt was Tony Robbins, massive action. Take massive action, 100%. All right. Hey, so we're going to take a step back from business. And my kid, Patrick is going to throw you a couple questions. And yeah, we got to get him down to Atlanta. So you can show him the correct way of choking people out.
Yeah. Make sure you tap once you're not comfortable.
Come on around, sir. Some questions about any of those good questions up there, you can ask them.
What gives you hope to keep doing this and stay in this for so long?
What makes me stay in this so long?
What gives you hope, like to wait for your success? Because you probably don't get your success right away. It probably takes time to get right.
No, I mean, look, anyone that's super successful has failed more than anybody else. Like you have to fail a lot, and that's how you learn and you get successful. But the way I keep my hope up is, a few different things. First off, I see that everything I do, works a little bit until it works a lot. And I know that I get better at it every time I do it. So like every time I do something the first time, it doesn't really work out the way I hope or expect. But every time I do it, I see it's working more and it's getting better. So knowing that, keeps me going. Another thing that keeps me hope is, no matter how good or bad that I'm doing, there's always someone doing a lot better than me. And there's always people that are doing worse than me. So I look at like all the people doing worse than me and I see that, it gives me the stride to keep going because I know that I'm doing better than some people. And then the people that are doing a lot better than me, that gives me hope and stride because I want to reach where they are at. So both people on both sides give me the hope and motivation to keep going.
Okay. Good stuff. You got one more question for him before I jump back into business?
What would you tell somebody my age? I'm 18. What would you tell somebody my age if they wanted to get in this? Where should they start?
So I think the most important thing by far for anybody that wants to get in anything, I don't even care if it's real estate or something else, is to find other people that are good at what you want to do and help them. Like say, look, I want to learn from you, but I want to help you as I'm doing it. And shadow them and learn from them. And that's the best way. Of course, buying programs and stuff like that are great, but better than that is just finding people in your area that you could mentor and, that can mentor you, but that you could help them. It's really important that you help them and that you're really, show that, you're a good person because then they'll want to help you more. So, you know, you just stay positive and you see what you can do to help them, but like just shadow them and see what they're doing. And that's the best way to learn anything, you know, like most people do what their parents do, you know, like most, you know, boys do what their dad does. Like if their dad's a mechanic, they become a mechanic. If their dad's an electrician, they become an electrician. It's because they learn from them. That's their mentor and they learn from them. So it's the same thing. It doesn't have to be your dad. It could be anyone, but you learn from someone that is that close to you and they become your mentor and then you get good at it. And then, you know, you go from there.
Amazing, amazing. Now, so speaking of kids, so your family, you have little kids now.
Well, they're not, yeah, I guess, I think the picture you have, they're a few years older now, but they're still little.
Okay, all right. So now have they how have you tried to create the entrepreneurial spirit without, you know, this is what, you know, your options are. How does that look in your house?
So my kids are 12, 11, and 9.
Mhm.
I actually have a 1-hour class with them every single week, and they actually have a few of their friends come in, and we learn. I teach them about real estate. I teach them about business. I teach them about life in general, like anything that has to do with life, stuff that you don't learn in school, stuff that you just really never learn. And I do an hour class with them every week. I sometimes I video them every few months and I put it on my Facebook, like what they learn. I have asking questions, but yeah, they know more about real estate than probably most than just about anybody, really.
Well, you know, I gotta tell you, and I haven't asked you this question, but generally one of the first questions I ask is, what book would you recommend for any human being on the planet? And almost like 70% of the time, I hear Rich Dad Poor Dad, but you're actually living it. You're actually doing a real life version of Rich Dad Poor Dad, where you're creating that I call it financial literacy, but you're doing it right in your home.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a book person, so I don't read many books. I hear that name, Rich Dad. I've actually haven't read a book, I don't think, in my life, but that's the one downfall on me. But I do watch a lot of videos about stuff. But yeah, I try to teach them now because I know, like, I wish I learned a lot of this stuff when I was younger. I could have even got further faster. So, you know, it's important for them to learn. And as they get older, they'll be able to even do more because they're still kind of young. But if you ask them any question about real estate, they'll know more stuff than you would possibly think is even possible.
Great, awesome. So I only got 2 more questions for you, and then you know, we're gonna wrap this up, man, because I honestly didn't think we would go this long, but I am really feeling the energy and the frequency you're on, man. So speak a little bit to your upbringing. What was your childhood like that created this compass for entrepreneurship?
You'll be surprised, but I actually, you know, my parents got divorced when I was like 1 year old, and I lived with my mom for a little bit, then I lived with my dad. But I honestly, when I was 12 years old, moved out of both parents' house, and I lived with foster parents, really, or boarding schools the rest of my life until I was an adult. So I really didn't have any parents in my life that much growing up, and I just kind of, yeah, I kind of got into like sports cards, baseball cards and stuff when I was younger, and I started selling them. I actually started my first business when I was 15, making a lot of money selling sports cards. And I just got that itch of making money and doing my own thing, and just one thing left to another. And I just started business after business, and then, you know, eventually real estate.
Okay, that's excellent, man. I knew the fire came from somewhere, and there's no one path. And so, man, it's a blessing. I'll take my hat off to you. A lesser person would allow those situations to kind of to sidetrack them permanently. So kudos to you, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, so here's our final question, man. And I always like to kind of end it. talk to me a little bit of, and you kind of opened the door, so I want to, say more about this. Generational wealth. What is it do you feel is your duty to do in order to kind of keep this knowledge, passing this baton of knowledge down to the next generation? What does that look like for you?
Well, for me at this point, I actually have dozens and dozens of different businesses now. I do more business than I do real estate. So I have a lot of businesses. They'll be, a lot of them will last for a long time. And I have, just a lot of passive income with real estate. So most of that stuff, if the kids like that stuff, maybe they'll learn and they'll take over on some of these different things I'm doing and learn how to create new stuff.
Mhm.
But all I can do is show them how to do everything, and then hopefully they find what they enjoy in life. Because I always tell everybody the most important thing in life is to be happy. And the reason why you want to make a lot of money is because when you have money, you can do stuff that make you happy, or stuff like that. But you can't like work for somebody or do certain things if you don't enjoy it long term. So I just tell them the most important thing is be happy and do what you do to that makes you happy, and all this other stuff is you do it because that's what ultimately makes you happy.
Okay, all right. So between you kind of setting the bar on finding something that you're passionate about and being happy, and then giving them that informal education once a week and videotaping it, you figure that things are going to fall into place.
Yeah, that's I'm doing everything I think I can to make that happen. Obviously, anything can happen, but I'm trying to do what I think makes sense.
Absolutely, man. Hey, man, I again, man, I appreciate it, man. I know our viewership has gotten a ton of different insights from you, and all I can ask, man, is we would love to maybe revisit this conversation in 6 or 7 months just to figure out how you're doing what you're doing. How's that sound?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Sounds good, man. We'll be here as
All right.
well, brother.
All
Hey,
right.
thanks again, man. And for my individuals that are still rolling with me, every week, man, we try to give you an opportunity to learn from individuals that are not gurus, but gurus. They're actually doing it, they're living it, and they're not just trying to sell a course here and there. So thanks again, Abraham, and God bless everybody out here in the social media world. All right. Take care, buddy.
Peace. See ya.
All right, man. Appreciate your time, my friend.
Yeah, I'll talk later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.